Justin Timberlake is an artist you all know. I'm still ill. Ugh. And Justin Timberlake isn't still good. In my opinion, I think he put out some of the best pop songs of the 2000s. I think Like I Love You is great. I think Cry Me a River is even great. I think Senorita is great. I think Future Sex Love Sounds. What Goes Around Comes Around. Like so many well-known pop songs that were produced by the Neptunes and Timbaland have held up really well in my opinion. Actually, I think they're all still really good. But in the 2010s, he came back with the 2020 experience, which I thought wasn't very good, honestly. And then he came out Can't Stop the Feeling, which was overplayed. I just felt like maybe Justin Timberlake is kind of at a point in his career where he's not really putting out his best music anymore, but he's still making songs that are catchy enough to enjoy, even if it's in small doses. But then the lead up to this album was like, okay, it's going to be personal. It's going to be about things in my life, my marriage, my child, all of these kind of things. I'm going to focus more on Americana. I'm going to go back to my roots of where I came from and turn my music into something that's a little more serious. And then he made Filthy. The lead up to this album, man, was atrocious. Like, the marketing was piss poor, to the point where Filthy completely flopped because it's terrible. And the album trailer made the album look like it was going to be way deeper than it was, and the singles were nothing like it. It's literally like a film trailer where the trailer makes the film like it look like it's going to be completely different, and then you go see the film and it's like, what? This is not what I was expecting to see. And occasionally that works. Sometimes you think, oh, this film might not be that good because of the trailer, but then it blows you out of the water. It's like, blows your mind. You're like, oh shit, this was nothing like the trailer and this is way better. But more often than not, if it's some kind of blockbuster or some kind of big budget film, the trailer never shows what the film actually entails. And this is that album. This is the equivalent to that in an album form. Like, there is barely anything that's rootsy about this album. There's barely anything that feels deep, personal. It's just got none of that. The closest you get is the closing track, Young Man, where you kind of feel like he's talking to his son, sort of giving out a bit of advice. A bit like Jay-Z did on his closing track on his last album, except it was to his daughter instead. Like, there are parallels there, but honestly, Jay-Z did it way better. And at least Jay-Z stuck to a formula throughout the album. Like, there are so many songs on here that just feel so cheap, tacky. Like, I don't know who produced this album. They need, like, to be sacked from their jobs. Like, they did a terrible job. These songs are produced so badly. Like, Justin Timberlake's vocals most of the time sound buried, and is that supposed to be for an aesthetic? I don't know, but there isn't even barely an aesthetic here, because each song either has this cheap, funky, like groovy, soulful, like 70s sounding a guitar riff on it that's supposed to make you want to dance, but it's just done in such a bland way that it feels like Justin Timberlake, of all people, should be able to get this right, because he's done it before, and it just goes off really badly. I quite liked Midnight Summer Jam at first, but over time, man, this song's got so boring. Like, even listening to the song, it goes way too long. It's like a 5-minute track, and that same guitar riff just grows stale so fast. Source is the next track, which is okay, but again, it's not really like anything that sticks with you. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's made in a way that I just can't get with. I think it's because, like, every time I listen to this album, like, I get so bored throughout that even the highlights on this album don't stand out enough. Then there's the falsetto, like on tracks like Higher Higher. I just can't get with it. Like, even on some of Justin Timberlake's best songs, he does overdo it with the falsetto. But on this album, he really overdoes it. Like, there are so many times where he does it and it just doesn't fit the instrumental at all. He's basically doing it just to kind of go with that niche that he's always done. You know, he's known for it, so he probably felt like I should do it quite a lot on this album to kind of bring people familiarity. But it just goes over so boring. I think when you do too much falsetto, it kind of shows that your vocals actually aren't that good because you don't really have any range at all. Because the thing is with Justin Timberlake is that his vocals have never been the selling point, so it's not like he has that much to show off in that department. So it's usually the instrumentals, and because the instrumentals aren't particularly exciting, he probably felt like he had to do more falsetto to kind of add some flair to the mix, but it adds nothing really. We have tracks that do try to do something a bit different, like Wave, but the instrumental is so corny on this one. I can't describe it at all. It just sounds like, listen to the song yourself and you'll know what I mean, but it just sounds so weird. And then the hook is like, wave, wave. Like, he just keeps saying it every now and then, like, wave, wave. Like, it's not a hook, it's not a chorus, it's shite. And then this brings me to the more country folk leaning tracks, which do come in the second half of the album mostly. And these could potentially be actually the worst songs on the album, because if there's anything that he proves on this album is that he can't do this style very well. And that's not to say that I didn't think he could before listening to this album, because we've seen artists do this plenty of times. Lady Gaga did it, you know, she was a massive pop star, and then on Joanne she switched things up, made more country leaning songs, and they went over alright. Obviously Miley Cyrus went from that country to pop, back to country, and even though I didn't particularly enjoy it on that last album she put out, it still was at least passable. And then of course Kesha did it on her latest album with a few tracks. Like, artists do this, and it sometimes sounds alright. But I always feel like artists do this to gain some kind of credibility from an audience that may not have enjoyed their music before. Like, that's what it always feels like to me. Like, I feel like Miley Cyrus did it for that exact reason. Well, she went on a bit of a crazy streak, so she had to go back to something that's a bit more contemporary, a bit more accessible to an older audience, because she kind of felt like that period of her life is over. And then here it feels like Justin Timberlake's trying to be a bit deeper with his lyrics for the first time, which, I don't know, I don't think he necessarily needed to do this, because he can't pull this sound off. It sounds so cheap and phoned in, honestly, really phoned in. Even a Chris Stapleton feature doesn't cut it for me, because it just sounds like a really commercial sounding Bon Iver song. Like, it would be like if Bon Iver went pop, this is what they'd sound like. And I don't think anyone wants Bon Iver to go pop, and no one wants this sound either. Flannel is so boring, honestly. It sounds like a nursery rhyme, actually. The way the tune goes along, it really just wants... It needs something to add something to it, because it's so bland. And the hard stuff, I don't know, I just can't really get with the chorus. Give me the hard stuff. You can't help but listen to that. I think it sounds a little weird. Like, what is he singing about there? I don't know. We do get some of that old school Justin Timberlake on tracks like Breeze Off the Pond, which is so like Latin influenced. It makes you think of like those older days in Justin Timberlake's career, where he did that Latin type of stuff on tracks like I Love You and Senorita, you know, those kind of songs. It doesn't quite live up to them, but this might be the track on the album that I would probably return to if I had to pick one. But this comes right near the end of the album, and this is an hour-long album, by the way. 1 hour and 6 minutes. I don't know what Justin Timberlake was thinking with this kind of length of time, because nothing really justifies it on this release. This is an album that needed better lyrics, a better focus, because there is no focus. You can't start an album with a futuristic song like Filthy and then be like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to try and throw in some more personal tracks because for the sake of it. And then, of course, the pop songs like Supplies, you know, just like, they just don't sound very good. I don't know what it is about them, but I think it's just the way they're produced. And whoever produced this album, again, like I said, is just not really pulling out any styles that works for Justin Timberlake at all. We can throw Justin Timberlake in the pile of massive pop stars that have lost relevancy and lost how to stay in touch with modern music, because here he has failed badly and he has tried some new things that weren't his style at all and didn't fit him, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna go D minus. It's not terrible, but it really isn't good. Like, it's not good. Tell me your thoughts on this album, subscribe to the channel for more reviews and other videos that I do as well, and have a good day.